Thanks for watching us on YouTube. Did you know YouTube only keeps selective videos on its platform? So if you want to make sure you get the full picture, just subscribe to our newsletter. Go to newsletter.ntd.com and sign up. It's free.
The House voted to censure Republican Congressman Paul Gosar and strip him of his 2 committee assignments. It was over a video he recently posted on Twitter and Instagram. Top Democrats say the video, which is now deleted, threatened violence against Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and President Biden. NTD's Melina Wisecup brings us more from Washington, D.C.
House Speaker Pelosi says this vote is needed because of the congressman's actions she called an endangerment to the House of Representatives. Gosar posted the video earlier this month, asking any anime fans out there, it's a parody of the opening song of a popular anime series. And it mainly shows border agents and illegal immigrants at the southern border. Near the end, Gosar photoshopped his head onto the hero of the series. The character strikes the neck of a Titan, photoshopped into Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, and takes on another Titan, photoshopped into President Biden. Gosar says this is a symbolic portrayal of his fight against the Biden administration's immigration policies. Both the White House and Pelosi have condemned the video.
I think they're threatening the lives of anybody, not just a member of Congress, but certainly the President of the United States should warrant law enforcement's attention.
There is absolutely no place for any violence of any sort in this political system. And I don't want to go any further than that. I leave it to the social media platform on how they're going to move forward on that.
Ocasio-Cortez herself also responded to the video earlier this month, calling it a fantasy video of Gosar killing her.
And it is so common for women and women of color to be sounding alarms about very disturbing behaviors, patterns, etc., to almost be whistleblowers within institutions, and to not only be ignored, but to have very serious threats not really be addressed.
Gosar deleted the video after a call with House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy, but he has not publicly apologized for it. McCarthy said Gosar didn't see it before it posted. It was not his intent to show any harm. What I said to the conference was, we cannot accept any action or showing of violence to another member. The Arizona Republican defended himself during the House debate on Wednesday.
I rise today to address and reject the mischaracterization, accusations from many in this body that the cartoon from my office is dangerous or threatening. It was not. And I reject the false narrative categorically. I do not espouse violence towards anyone. I never have. It was not my purpose to make anyone upset. I voluntarily took the cartoon down, not because it was itself a threat, but because some thought it was.
Gosar sits on 2 committees, the Committee on Oversight and Reform and the Committee on Natural Resources. Stripping a member of committee assignments and censoring them is a severe punishment in the House, and it would be the first time the House has moved to censor a member since 2010. Reporting in Washington, D.C., Melina Wisecup, NTD News.
And the House is on track to pass the second part of President Biden's spending plan this week. Speaker Nancy Pelosi joined Senate Leader Chuck Schumer to show their unified effort to get the next big bill to Biden's desk before Christmas. After the president signed off on a historic infrastructure investment this week, Democrats are moving forward with their next big goal, climate and social welfare. And today they were joined by Congressman Josh Gottheimer, showing that moderates and progressives in the House have reached a deal to get it done. But the full budget report won't be released until late Friday. So the House could actually pass the plan before knowing what the estimated overall costs will be. And a congressional advisory body is warning that China could launch an attack on Taiwan despite risks of U.S. intervention. Its report also details the CCP's threats to the world.
The U.S.-China Economic and Security Review Commission, or USCC, on Wednesday released its annual report to Congress. The 539-page document highlights the increasing threats the Chinese Communist Party poses to the U.S. and world order.
This year, the CCP showed itself increasingly willing to escalate that competition into confrontation.
While the U.S. seeks to preserve interests without conflicts, the Bipartisan Advisory Board warns that Beijing may have different ideas.
The Chinese are at or near an initial invasion capability, which means the ability to conduct a land invasion of Taiwan, even assuming American intervention, albeit at very high risk.
The report recommends the U.S. should increase deterrence by making it easier for Taiwan to purchase defense articles and deploying cruise and ballistic missiles in the Indo-Pacific, while warning that if China perceives a weak U.S. position, it could seek an opportunist invasion.
If they can accomplish assimilation on their terms with Taiwan, it will undermine America's credibility as a security guarantor in the region. So the implications for the United States are very, very great.
Besides increased security threats, the new report also highlights how the opaque nature of Chinese companies can put U.S. investors at risk.
They are looking to the U.S. and other Western sources of capital to help fuel CCP policies.
In addition to expanding investment restrictions on Chinese companies, the Commission also urges U.S. firms with activities in China to better disclose what they are doing there.
Stop saying, I don't want to disclose this. Stop saying, I don't like the light shined on my activities in China because it makes me look bad. Well, guess what? If it makes you look bad, maybe you shouldn't be involved in it.
The report concludes that the U.S. should design policies based on the realization that the CCP is a menacing adversary determined to end the security and prosperity of billions of people. It warns that otherwise we will continue to see a slow but certain erosion of democratic nations around the world.
Senator Hawley has introduced a Parents' Bill of Rights to defend the role of parents in education. The bill includes giving parents the right to access the entire contents of their child's curriculum. This comes as parents nationwide are demanding greater transparency from their schools.
Republican Senator Josh Hawley is proposing to strengthen the rights of parents in education, introducing Tuesday the Parents' Bill of Rights Act. It outlines 8 rights parents should have regarding their children's education, and if these rights are violated by federally funded schools, the bill would enable parents to sue. Among the 8 rights include the right for parents to know what exactly their child is being taught in school and who is teaching them. This right could be especially crucial since at present, parents usually aren't able to obtain copies of a curriculum if it's copyrighted. The bill would also require schools to disclose information to parents about outside groups receiving school contracts and funding. In addition, it states school board meetings about curricula and other student issues must be held in public and allow for public comments. Hawley said in a press release that America is seeing a concerted effort by the left to shut parents out. He pointed to the Justice Department's involvement in investigating alleged threats from parents against school boards, and activists funded by dark money who seek to quietly introduce critical race theory into school curricula. Hawley said it's time to give control back to parents, not woke bureaucrats, and empower them to start a new era of openness in education.
A leaked internal document indicates that the FBI may be using counterterrorism tools to track down certain parents, those who allegedly threatened school board members. This calls some recent testimony into question, as a top Biden administration official had said the DOJ was not targeting parents.
House Judiciary GOP released a new whistleblower document Tuesday, making public an internal email sent by a member of the FBI's Inspection Division. The document discloses that the agency's Counterterrorism and Criminal Divisions Department created a threat tag called EDU Officials to track instances of related threats. Addressing its internal departments, the FBI's email reads, "We ask that your offices apply the threat tag to investigations and assessments of threats specifically directed against school board administrators, board members, teachers, and staff." The revelation comes after the National School Boards Association likened some alleged threats from parents to domestic terrorism. Over the last several months, school board meetings have gotten especially heated over the issues of masking policies and critical race theory curricula. Attorney General Merrick Garland issued a memorandum on October 4th directing the FBI to investigate the alleged threats. Citing the leaked document, Congressman Jim Jordan wrote a letter to Garland on Tuesday. It accused him of lying to Congress when he testified last month, that DOJ isn't targeting parents who choose to protest at school board meetings. Senator Josh Hawley also called on Garland to return to Capitol Hill and answer for the allegations. He tweeted, "If this is accurate, parents are getting the domestic terrorist treatment after all." The FBI has denied the accusation in a statement to the Epoch Times, saying it has never been in the business of investigating parents who speak out or policing speech at school board meetings.
The Occupational Safety and Health Administration, or OSHA, stopped enforcing President Biden's vaccine mandate for larger companies after an appeals court ruling. NTD spoke to a Republican congressman who says the mandate is unconstitutional.
OSHA, the health and safety arm of the Department of Labor, had been tasked with enforcing the rule to have all Americans who work at companies with 100 or more employees vaccinated or undergo weekly testing and wear a mask. The rule sparked dozens of lawsuits.
Congress never gave OSHA that authority. It was never even thought of in Congress to give OSHA that authority. For Joe Biden and for his lawyers and attorneys in the White House and staffers to sit there and try to construe some way for him to get his way is outrageous.
On November 12th, the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals reaffirmed its decision to put vaccine mandate enforcement on hold. The court stated that the mandate was staggeringly overbroad and ordered OSHA to take no steps to implement or enforce the mandate until further court order. Florida Congressman Byron Donalds told NTD that President Biden knows that the mandate is unconstitutional.
He already said before he doesn't have the legal authority to do it, but he's doing it anyway because he's literally trying to scare businesses with the force of law and scare people with the force of law to do what they have not chosen to do in their ordinary lives. That is dictatorial. That is totalitarian.
The Sixth Circuit Court of Appeals will hear a consolidation of legal challenges to President Biden's vaccine mandate.
On Tuesday, thieves broke into a jewelry store in San Francisco's Chinatown. On Monday, another group of robbers broke into a jewelry store in a mall. Both got away with the goods before police could arrive. Here's more with NTD's Eileen Ang.
On Tuesday morning, thieves broke into a Chinatown jewelry store in San Francisco and made off with thousands of dollars in jewelry. The owners of Longboat Jewelers told Cron 4 News the thieves cut the lock on the store's gate, hammered down the front door, and stole more than $250,000 in merchandise. The owners were months away from retiring after 40 years. The San Francisco Police Department informed NTD via email that officers responded to the burglary at 4:23 a.m. and found multiple glass cases were damaged and store inventory stolen. They will continue to process the scene for evidence. Last Friday, the same store reported a vandalism incident where the front glass window was damaged, but nothing was stolen. In nearby Concord, California, the police department released a surveillance video where people can be seen going into a jewelry store with hammers, smashing the display glass and taking the jewelry. At around 7:30 p.m. Monday, 9 people robbed the Iceberg Diamonds jewelry store inside Sun Valley Mall. According to the police report, employees tried to intervene and were kept back by the hammer-wielding criminals. The suspects got away before police arrived. Some mall customers reported hearing gunshots, but it was the sounds of hammers breaking glass. No shots were fired. In an emailed statement to NTD, a Concord police spokesperson said, "We are not yet certain on the exact dollar amount lost, but it is safe to say it would be a number above what the state considers grand theft. The case is still under investigation." This is not the first brazen group robbery in the Bay Area. In June, a coordinated group of shoplifters ran into a Louis Vuitton store at Stanford Shopping Center in Palo Alto. They got away in 5 different cars with more than $100,000 in designer handbags. In July, 10 suspects took 43 handbags valued around $150,000 from Neiman Marcus in San Francisco. They fled in 3 getaway cars. Rampant shoplifting in San Francisco has forced many stores to close or reduce hours. Eileen Ang, NTD News, California.
International athletes are speaking out over an alleged scandal and putting Beijing in the hot seat. They're backing a Chinese tennis star who's accusing a former Chinese vice premier of sexual assault. NTD's Tiffany Meyer has the story.
International athletes are speaking out. Tennis superstar Naomi Osaka is the latest athlete to voice concern over Peng Shuai. The former Chinese tennis star has not been seen in public since accusing a former Chinese state leader of sexual assault. Osaka said on Twitter Tuesday, "Censorship is never okay at any cost. I hope Peng Shuai and her family are safe and okay. I am in shock of the current situation, and I am sending love and light her way." Peng once ranked world #1 in doubles. Earlier this month, she accused former Chinese Vice Premier Zhang Gaoli of coercing her into sex at his home 3 years ago. Her post on China's Twitter-like platform Weibo was up for just 30 minutes before Chinese censors deleted it. Her Weibo account has been blocked, and any mention of the accusation online has been wiped. Peng has not been seen in public since then for half a month. A growing number of international athletes have expressed concern, including men's world #1 Novak Djokovic.
It's shocking, that she's missing.
Tennis legend and 39-time Grand Slam championship winner Billie Jean King, former world #1 Chris Evert, and former top-ranking Martina Navratilova also expressed their concern. In addition, 3 tennis associations spoke out for Peng. The Women's Tennis Association called on Beijing to investigate Peng's allegations, saying she should be heard, not censored. Later, the association was joined by the ATP Tour, a worldwide top-tier tennis tour for men, as well as the U.S. Tennis Association. On Wednesday, a Chinese Communist Party's media mouthpiece said they saw an email from Peng to the Women's Tennis Association. In it, they said Peng denied she had disappeared. NTD contacted the association for comment but did not receive a response before airtime. The accused Zhang Gaoli is 75. He served in the Communist Party's highest leadership body, the Politburo Standing Committee. He retired as vice premier 3 years ago.
The U.S. and Japan today announced a new trade partnership on labor, environment, and digital trade issues. The announcement comes a day after President Biden met virtually with Chinese Communist Party leader Xi Jinping.
At Wednesday's meeting in Tokyo, U.S. Trade Representative Catherine Tai met with Japanese government ministers. Japanese Foreign Minister Yoshimasa Hayashi said the aim of the talks was to further deepen the Japan-U.S. alliance. The initial meetings of the new trade partnership would take place early next year, with periodic meetings on a regular basis. That's according to a statement from Tai. The new talks will address concerns over U.S. Section 232 national security tariffs on steel and aluminum and curbing global excess capacity for the metals driven largely by China. The talks follow a U.S. quota deal with the European Union to allow around 4 million tons of EU-produced steel duty-free into the United States annually.
The World Health Organization's head of emergencies program, Mike Ryan, has warned governments against making vaccines compulsory. He called some measures targeting unvaccinated people extreme and said they raise real issues around freedoms and human rights.
Mandatory vaccination for work or mandatory vaccination or proof of previous infection to access hotels, restaurants, and even to the extreme of asking people who are unvaccinated to stay home as opposed to vaccinated people being out. And this raises real issues around civil liberties. This raises real issues around human rights. And it's something that governments should consider extremely carefully.
Ryan said that if such measures are brought in, there should be clear reasons stated and demonstrated as to why that action is being taken. And governments need to be absolutely sure the benefits outweigh the risks. He noted the WHO's position on compulsory vaccination, stating it's not the best means to achieve the highest vaccine uptake.
An exhibition dedicated to a historian and museum curator has opened in Kiev, Ukraine. It celebrates the man who gave his life for art. He fought for the preservation of Ukraine's cultural values during Soviet rule. For this, he was repressed and eventually killed. Here's more.
This is only a small portion of the artworks and artifacts that can be seen in Ukrainian museums today, thanks to Fedir Ernst. During the Soviet Union, this man managed to return and preserve many cultural objects that the Bolsheviks exported from Ukraine.
The fact that we still have objects that we can't see in museums' archival documents is all thanks to him. Otherwise, they could just rob, take items abroad, and blow up temples.
A thematic exhibition was opened in honor of Ernst at the National Museum of the History of Ukraine. During his time here, the museum's collection was replenished with more than 5,000 items. Among the preserved artifacts are Taras Shevchenko's paintings, which were returned from Russia, and objects from the Mizagiria faience factory, one of the first factories in Ukraine. This, for example, is an ancient portrait of a Ukrainian hetman. Below is a magazine which described all the returned valuables.
Next to the cover is written that the portrait of Hetman Ivan Skoropadsky without a frame was returned.
In his attempt to save the cultural objects of Ukraine, Ernst led many expeditions and archaeological excavations. For this, he was persecuted by the Soviet authorities. He was repeatedly arrested on charges of counter-revolutionary activities.
In 1941, he was arrested again. He was shot dead in October 1942 as an alleged German spy. He was rehabilitated in the 15th year.
The exhibition will run until March 9th next year.
Thanks for watching us on YouTube. Don't forget to catch all of our programs on TV. NTD Evening News is on every weekday at 6:30 p.m. Find your local NTD channel at ntd.com/TV.